matter of life and death, we all know what numbers to call. But what if no one answers at 911? We saw that happen earlier this week when Metro's 911 system crashed. But it's a problem Contact 13 has been investigating for months. And tonight, Chief Investigator Darcy Spears has the devastating story of help on hold and how the 911 system failed a local family.
Well, we took Calvin for a walk, came home, always make coffee.
December 17th started out like any normal morning for Debbie and her husband, Steve.
Steve sat in his normal chair and checked his texts, and then he said, I'm going to go take a shower.
That's where everything normal came to an abrupt end.
I think I walked from the coffee pot to there, and I heard like a thump. I ran in there, and he was on the floor of the shower. And I kept trying to pull at his arm. Steve, get up.
Realizing something was desperately wrong, Debbie grabbed her landline to call 911.
And I called and it said,
"You have reached 911 emergency. Please do not hang up. Your call will be answered in the order received."
I thought, no, that can't be right. And I kept yelling, please help me, please answer.
But she would stay on hold as Steve's life slipped away.
So I went and I got my cell phone.
"You have reached 911 emergency."
She also tried from her husband's cell.
"You have reached 911
And it was the same recording, so I went next door.
Her next door neighbor called.
You have reached
and also
911
got the
emergency.
recording.
Your call will be answered.
While one neighbor performed CPR, another stayed on the phone.
Please do not hang up.
And finally,
911 emergency. You need police, fire, or medical?
We need medical right now. He's on the floor. He's unresponsive, and he has no heart rate.
Okay.
Performing CPR. We need somebody right now.
Okay, help is on the way.
Contact 13 learned it took 911 more than 3.5 minutes to answer that call. The national standard is 10 seconds or less.
You don't know what would have happened had that call been answered right away.
Right.
Had they been here 5 minutes earlier.
Maybe you would still be here. I don't know. I wish he was.
It's going to be a big question in her life from here on out. How does anybody reconcile that?
You know, at the end of the day, we all have to be honest. Our agency has to be honest. We went through this major shift with a 911 system. We've been doing our best to provide that safety so that this question will never come up again in the future with any other citizens.
911 emergency.
Radio Systems Director Michael Barnbeck says Metro switched to a new 911 system a week before Debbie and her neighbors' frantic calls for help. He admits they were not fully up to speed.
Here's a woman who lost her husband. She's in the process of watching him die, and she gets a recording when she calls the 3 numbers that should be or could be life-saving.
There is nothing that I can say to make her or anybody in the community feel, any better about the situation.
Contact 13 learned it took 10 minutes from the time Debbie made her first call to when help was dispatched. Around that time, there were 62 calls holding on 911 with just 6 people answering the phone. Director Barnbeck says the numbers tell the story. They simply didn't have enough staff.
Should people expect to continue to get a recording when they call 911?
Yes, and that is an industry standard throughout the United States.
Even so, Director Barnbeck says they've made changes to handle calls more efficiently, and they will be asking to add more staff.
All I want to do this for is so that it never happens again to any person, ever.
But Contact 13 learned.
And I was just on hold.
It did.
As you just saw, Contact 13 discovered more people who say help for them was on hold as well. It's something the 911 Bureau calls unacceptable. What you need to know when you need 911 tomorrow on Action News at 6. Darcy Spears, Channel 13, Action News.
On our website at KTNV.com, you can see a full timeline of what happened with Debbie and her neighbors' calls, one of which was on hold for nearly 6 minutes.